The legend of the Oro Arrowhead has always carried with it an air of wonder, mystery, and unshakable strength. They say the arrowhead was no ordinary piece of stone shaped into a weapon. It was carved with patience, blessed with whispers of the wind, and kissed by the golden rays of dawn. It was more than a weapon. It was a symbol, a promise, and a story of courage that continues to echo across time. Imagine standing in the heart of a forest where silence breathes like a spirit, and then discovering something so radiant, so powerful, that the earth itself seems to guard it. The Oro Arrowhead was not just hidden, it was protected. Protected by whispers of legends, by the rustling of leaves that seemed to tell stories if you dared to listen, by the shimmering streams that carried reflections of both beauty and warning. The one who possessed it was said to carry more than strength. She carried the responsibility of truth. They say the arrowhead glowed faintly under moonlight, as though it remembered the battles of the past. It remembered the laughter of victories, the tears of losses, the quiet prayers of those who had believed in something greater than themselves. Each mark etched upon it was like a chapter written by destiny. The legend tells us that when the world fell into doubt, when fear threatened to silence voices, the arrowhead would return, not to destroy, but to guide, to remind hearts of the bravery they already carried inside. I love to imagine how it must have felt to hold it, heavy, yes, but not in weight, heavy in meaning. It was said that when one touched the Oro Arrowhead, she could feel the pulse of the earth as though nature itself was alive in her veins. Her footsteps grew lighter, her gaze grew sharper, and her heart became a fire no storm could ever put out. The arrowhead was never just about battles, never just about wars. It was about spirit. It was about the belief that light always finds its way through even the darkest nights. Some claim it was lost forever, buried deep beneath rivers or hidden within mountains. Others whisper that it still waits, watching, choosing the right hands to carry it again. And maybe, just maybe, the true power of the Oro Arrowhead was never in its stone, never in its shine, but in the courage it sparked within those who believed in it. For legends, after all, are not meant to sit in silence. They are meant to awaken something within us, to remind us that strength, grace, and hope can live in even the smallest of hearts. The Oro Arrowhead is not just a story of the past. It is a mirror showing us what we can be when we dare to rise, when we dare to protect, when we dare to believe. And though the world may search endlessly for it, maybe the truth is that it was never lost. Maybe the legend lives within us, waiting for the moment when we choose to carry it forward. The Oro Arrowhead is more than a weapon. It is a symbol of courage, truth, and guidance, and in its story lives a force that is far greater than any sharp edge or crafted stone. When one first hears of an arrowhead, the mind naturally imagines something small, simple, and practical, something meant to fly through the air with speed and strike with precision. Yet the legend of the Oro Arrowhead is unlike any ordinary tale of a tool of war. It is not about battles won or enemies defeated. It is about a living emblem that carries meaning far deeper than its form, meaning that has traveled across generations, carried in the whispers of storytellers, in the hush of forests, in the gleam of moonlight over rivers. To those who believed in its legend, the arrowhead represented the very essence of bravery, the kind of bravery that does not roar but instead glows quietly, steady and unyielding. A bravery that inspires others to walk a path of truth even when the world tries to drown that truth out. Imagine it lying still beneath the soil, unseen by most eyes, yet radiating an aura so strong that those who came close to it felt something stir in their hearts. This stirring was not fear, nor was it greed, but rather a feeling of recognition, as if the arrowhead whispered directly to the soul, reminding the seeker of the strength that was already within her. The Oro Arrowhead was believed to be carved with intention, not only by the hands of a skilled maker, but also by the blessings of nature itself. Every curve was said to hold the energy of the wind, every sharp edge reflected the determination of fire, and the golden shimmer that gave it its name was thought to come from the first light of dawn, forever sealed into its being. That is why it was never seen simply as a crafted object. It was a guide, a compass, a reminder that truth is not a path we find outside ourselves, but one that must be lived from within. Stories passed down speak of how those who held it felt transformed. It was not the kind of transformation that turned weakness into invincibility or fear into recklessness. Instead, it was gentler, deeper, more profound. A girl who held the arrowhead might find her voice when she thought she had none. Her footsteps would carry her with confidence when before she hesitated. Her gaze would turn steady even when the world tried to shake her. The arrowhead, after all, was never meant to conquer lands or to destroy. Its purpose was always tied to guidance, to helping one navigate life's storms with clarity and courage. In that way, it was more like a lantern than a weapon, shedding light in darkness and showing a path where there seemed to be none. The legend also tells us that the arrowhead was not for everyone. It was not a prize to be taken, not a jewel to be kept hidden in boxes, not a trophy to be displayed. It revealed itself only to those who carried honesty in their spirit, to those who were not afraid to walk in truth even when truth was heavy, to those whose courage came not from strength of body but from purity of heart. To others it would appear as nothing more than an ordinary stone, unremarkable and dull, but to the worthy it shimmered softly, as though it was alive, breathing, listening, waiting. That was the magic of the Oro Arrowhead. It knew who to call to, it knew whose story it was meant to guide. The stories of its glow beneath the moonlight always fascinated me most. The arrowhead was said to never shine under the harsh light of day, never flash to impress or to blind. Instead, it glowed in the quiet, in the stillness, in the kind of moments when the world grew hushed and the heart could hear its own rhythm. Its golden shimmer was not bright like fire, not loud like lightning, but gentle, patient, steady like the stars that watch over the night. And in that glow, one could see the reflection of courage itself, not as something distant and unreachable, but as something already alive inside. That glow told stories without words, stories of people who dared to rise, people who walked through storms without losing their way, people who chose truth even when it was not the easiest path. The Oro Arrowhead thus became more than just a legend about the past. It became a mirror, a reflection of what courage and truth look like when carried with grace. Its story is not about wars fought with weapons, but about battles fought within hearts, about the guidance that comes when one listens to the quiet voice of truth, even when the noise of the world is loud. And perhaps that is why the legend has lasted so long, because even when the arrowhead itself cannot be found, its meaning continues to live in every person who chooses courage over fear, truth over deception, and guidance over confusion. It is said to carry the whispers of nature, glowing with memories of victories and losses, and in that quiet brilliance lies the reason why the Oro Arrowhead has remained one of the most cherished legends ever told. When people speak of whispers, they imagine voices faint and fragile, but the whispers of nature are far from fragile. They are the rustling of leaves that remind us that even in silence, life continues. They are the flow of rivers that speak in tones both gentle and fierce, telling of journeys long and winding. They are the sigh of winds that brush against the skin, carrying secrets from mountains and valleys far away. The Oro Arrowhead was believed to gather all of these voices, to hold them within its golden glow, so that whoever touched it would not only hear the past but feel it, as though the victories of those who came before and the sorrows of their losses had been etched into the very surface of stone. The glow of the arrowhead was never bright enough to blind nor fierce enough to frighten. It was described as a soft, steady radiance, like a star guiding travelers through the night. This glow carried with it the weight of memory. Some say it flickered in rhythm with the heartbeat of the earth itself, pulsing gently to remind the one who held it that she was part of something vast, something eternal. Within its shimmer, victories appeared not as grand triumphs of power, but as moments when truth overcame lies, when light pushed away darkness, when kindness proved stronger than cruelty. And within that same glow, the losses were also remembered, not to haunt, but to teach. Each tear shed in the past, each voice silenced, each step taken in despair became part of the wisdom that the arrowhead shared, a wisdom that urged those who held it to walk carefully, to walk with empathy, to understand that strength without compassion was never truly victory at all. Legends tell of how the arrowhead would hum faintly when pressed close to the ear, a sound that resembled neither music nor speech, but something in between. Some described it as the echo of waves upon the shore, others as the low murmur of trees swaying in the wind, but all agreed that in those whispers one could sense the memories it carried. The whispers did not give answers to questions directly, but they stirred the heart in ways that led one closer to truth. They carried the laughter of those who once believed, the determination of those who refused to give up, and the quiet resignation of those whose battles were lost, but whose courage remained. The arrowhead, in its mysterious way, became a living archive, a vessel of voices that refused to be forgotten. The idea of an object glowing with memory is not just a tale of magic, but a lesson wrapped in wonder. Memory, after all, is what shapes us. Victories encourage us, reminding us of what can be achieved when we are steadfast and true. Losses humble us, teaching us to rise again, to understand the pain of others, to value what is often taken for granted. The Oro Arrowhead's glow was said to combine these two, the joy of victory and the sorrow of loss, into a single balanced light. Those who saw it would be reminded that life is never only triumph or defeat, but a weaving of both. The whispers of nature carried by the arrowhead told this truth with a gentleness that no human voice could fully capture. To many, the most fascinating part of the legend was that the arrowhead seemed to choose its moments. It would not glow constantly, nor would it whisper at every touch. Instead, it revealed itself in times of great need. A traveler lost in a storm might see its faint light leading her to shelter. A girl standing at the edge of despair might hear its whispers reminding her that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to rise despite it. A leader uncertain of the path ahead might feel the arrowhead's pulse reminding her of the victories and sacrifices that had come before, guiding her to walk not for herself, but for those she served. In each of these moments, the arrowhead was more than an object. It was a bridge between past and present, between the voices of nature and the choices of humanity. And still, the most powerful part of the story is how ordinary people carried these tales forward, believing that the whispers of the arrowhead were not only for the chosen few, but for all who listened closely. To hear the rustling of leaves, to feel the breeze against the skin, to stand quietly by a river's edge and truly listen. These, too, were ways of hearing the same whispers the arrowhead carried. The glow might belong to the stone, but the memories it held belonged to everyone, woven into the world around them. The legend of the Oro Arrowhead teaches that victories and losses are never truly gone. They live on in whispers, in glows, in the gentle voices of nature that guide those willing to hear. The arrowhead was believed to awaken inner strength, making hearts unshakable, and in this belief lies the heart of the legend that has been passed down from one generation to another. Inner strength is often invisible, hidden beneath doubts, fears, and the noise of the world, but the Oro Arrowhead was said to uncover it, like a light shining through layers of shadow. Those who touched it described feeling not only a shift in their thoughts, but a stirring in their very soul, as though something that had been asleep within them suddenly opened its eyes. The arrowhead was not a weapon meant to give power over others. It was a symbol meant to remind one of the power already alive inside, the kind of power that no one could take away because it did not come from outside but from within. Stories describe a young girl trembling before a challenge, unsure of whether she had the courage to face what awaited her. But the moment she brushed her fingers over the arrowhead, the trembling stopped. Her body was no stronger than before, her obstacles no smaller, yet her heart had shifted. What once seemed impossible now felt like a path she could walk. That was the gift of the Oro Arrowhead. It did not change the world around her, but it changed the way she carried herself within that world. To have an unshakable heart is not to live without fear, but to walk forward with the knowledge that fear will not decide the outcome. It is to know that storms will come, but they will not break what is rooted deeply enough. The awakening of inner strength was often described as a warmth, a glow that began in the chest and spread outward like fire through the veins. It was not a violent blaze, but a steady flame, the kind that gave light in darkness and heat in the cold. Those who felt it often said they could hear the quiet rhythm of their own heart more clearly, a rhythm that reminded them they were alive, capable, resilient. The arrowhead did not promise safety, nor did it promise ease, but it gave the courage to endure, to stand tall when others bent, to remain steady when the world tried to shake them loose. It was a reminder that the strongest battles are not always fought with weapons, but with will, and that victory begins with refusing to fall when the ground trembles. Legends tell of how even in times of despair, when everything seemed lost, the arrowhead would awaken this hidden strength. A village grieving after hardship might gather around it and feel hope stirring again, not because their pain vanished, but because they remembered their ability to rise together. A lone wanderer exhausted on her path might hold the arrowhead and find her steps steady once more, her resolve unbroken despite her weariness. In each of these stories, the arrowhead did not magically remove suffering, but it revealed the strength to bear it, to overcome it, to transform it into wisdom and growth. The unshakable heart it gave was not one that ignored pain, but one that embraced it, endured it, and kept beating through it. What makes the legend so captivating is that the arrowhead's power was said to be subtle, never loud or showy. Its awakening was not like thunder crashing across the sky, but more like the steady rising of dawn, quiet yet unstoppable. It taught that true strength is not about domination or force, but about endurance, resilience, and the refusal to be broken by hardship. The arrowhead reminded those who touched it that they already carried the roots of strength within. And like a tree that bends with the wind but does not fall, their hearts could remain steady no matter what storms arose. This is why the legend speaks not of physical might, but of inner fortitude, the kind of strength that grows stronger the more it is tested. The image of an unshakable heart became central to the story of the Oro Arrowhead. A heart that does not waver when confronted with fear, a heart that does not collapse under the weight of sorrow, a heart that continues to beat with courage even when silence and darkness press against it. To awaken such a heart was to awaken the truest form of power, a power that could guide, heal, and inspire. The arrowhead did not give this gift freely. It revealed it only when one was ready to receive it, when one was willing to face herself honestly and believe in her own hidden strength. That is what made it so rare, so treasured, so enduring as a legend told again and again across the ages. Legends say it chooses the worthy, reminding them of their hidden bravery, and in that single belief lies the magic that has made the Oro Arrowhead more than just a tale of stone and gold. Worthiness is a quality that cannot be measured by wealth, strength, or titles, and the arrowhead seemed to know this better than any human eye could judge. The stories tell of how it remained silent and dull in the hands of the proud or the greedy, refusing to reveal any of its glow, yet when placed in the palm of someone pure of heart, someone whose courage was hidden beneath layers of doubt, it would shimmer softly as though waking from a long slumber. Its glow was a recognition, a gentle nod to the spirit that lay within, reminding the chosen one that bravery is not the absence of fear, but the quiet decision to face it. Those who were called by the arrowhead were often ordinary people, not warriors covered in armor or leaders crowned with jewels, but girls who carried quiet determination, mothers who protected their families, wanderers who refused to give up when the path grew long. The arrowhead never sought perfection, it sought honesty. In its mysterious way, it could see beyond the surface, beyond trembling hands or uncertain steps, to the core of a person's heart. When it chose someone, it was not because she had already proven her courage to the world, but because she carried the seed of bravery waiting to be awakened. The reminder it gave was not loud or forceful, but subtle, as if whispering that she already had everything she needed within her to walk the path ahead. The glow of the Oro Arrowhead was said to mirror the courage of the one holding it. For some it was faint, flickering like a candle struggling against the wind, while for others it was steady and bright, filling the night with its golden warmth. The light did not measure the value of a person, but reflected the strength of her belief in herself. As the chosen one grew in courage, the glow grew stronger too, a constant reminder that bravery expands when it is trusted. Many legends describe the arrowhead as a companion rather than a tool, one that grew alongside its bearer, guiding her through struggles while teaching her to trust the bravery she had always carried. The act of being chosen by the arrowhead was never described as an accident. The legends insist that it had a will of its own, an unspoken awareness of who was ready and who was not. Countless seekers searched for it in caves, rivers, and forests, hoping to claim its power, but it remained hidden from those who desired it only for glory. Yet for someone who never expected to be worthy, who stumbled upon it with a humble heart, it revealed itself with ease, almost as if it had been waiting. In this way, the arrowhead became not only a legend of strength, but also of humility, a reminder that true worth is not about how loudly one declares bravery, but how quietly one lives it. Those who held the arrowhead told of moments when it reminded them of their bravery at the times they most doubted themselves. A girl facing the unknown might feel her knees weaken, but the arrowhead would glow in her hand, steady and calm, reminding her that courage is not about being unafraid, but about walking forward despite the fear. A mother protecting her children might feel her strength failing, but the arrowhead would whisper through its warmth that love itself is a form of bravery, and no force is greater than the heart willing to protect what it holds dear. These reminders did not erase fear or hardship, but they gave a light that guided through the darkness, a light that came from within, reflected by the arrowhead's golden shine. The legend grew because people believed that being chosen by the Oro Arrowhead was not about destiny reserved for a few, but about a lesson for everyone. It taught that bravery often hides in unexpected places, within those who underestimate themselves, within those who feel small in a vast world. The arrowhead's glow was a reminder that worthiness is not something given from outside, but something discovered within. And sometimes all it takes is a gentle spark to reveal it. The arrowhead gave that spark, awakening courage and showing that the bravest hearts are often the quietest, the ones who never thought they could carry such strength but discover they always had it. Its true power lies not in the stone, but in the spirit it ignites within us, and this belief hath carried the story of the Oro Arrowhead through centuries of whispers, fireside tales, and quiet reflections passed down from one heart to another. Many legends speak of weapons that cut through enemies or treasures that dazzle with their brilliance, but the Oro Arrowhead has never belonged to that category. Its beauty was not in how sharp it was, or how rare its golden shimmer appeared to be. What gave it life and meaning was the way it could awaken something in those who touched it, something no sword, no crown, no jewel could ever provide. It was not about power that could be seen, but power that could be felt, the kind that grew not from the arrowhead itself, but from the spirit of the person holding it. The arrowhead's glow was described as a mirror, reflecting not the surface of the one who carried it, but the essence within. A person filled with doubt might at first see nothing special, only a piece of carved stone, dull and unremarkable. Yet if she allowed herself to believe, if she allowed her heart to listen, the arrowhead would begin to shine, not because the stone had changed, but because she had. The spirit it ignited was her own courage rising to the surface, her own strength finding a voice. That was the mystery that made the legend so enduring. It gave nothing that was not already present, but it revealed what had been hidden, buried beneath layers of fear, sorrow, or silence. In many tales, the arrowhead was described as a companion rather than a relic. It did not act on its own, nor did it control the destiny of those who found it. Instead, it awakened them to their own destiny. Some who carried it found themselves walking straighter, their steps no longer heavy with hesitation. Others found their voices clearer, able to speak truths they once kept locked away. Still others discovered patience and resilience, qualities they had never thought belonged to them. Each story reminds us that the stone itself held no magic except the magic it stirred in the human heart. That was its true gift, the ability to ignite a flame of spirit that could never be extinguished by storms, shadows, or time. The spirit it awakened was not always loud or fiery. Sometimes it came as a quiet calm, a steadying of breath in moments of fear, a whisper of clarity when choices seemed overwhelming. Other times it arrived as determination, a rising fire that filled the chest and refused to be put out no matter the obstacles. This is why the arrowhead was said to choose different people in different ways. For one, its power was in courage, for another in resilience, for yet another in compassion that burned so brightly it became unshakable strength. Its true power was always tied to the heart it touched, revealing the unique spirit that each person carried, and in that uniqueness was the beauty of the legend. Many seekers spent their lives searching for the Oro Arrowhead, believing that its stone itself was the source of greatness, but those who found it learned that the stone was nothing without belief. The glow did not come from its golden surface, but from the spirit it mirrored, like a spark-catching flame only when given air and trust. To those who sought to use it for pride or conquest, it remained cold and silent, for its purpose was never to serve ambition but to awaken truth. Its brilliance was never about shining outward for the world to admire, but shining inward to remind someone of who she truly was and what she was capable of becoming. The most cherished part of the legend is that the power of the arrowhead was never lost, even when the stone itself was hidden. For those who never touched it still felt its meaning, still carried the story in their hearts, still found courage in the idea that strength is not given by objects but discovered within. Mothers told the tale to daughters as a reminder that bravery does not depend on size or strength, but on spirit. Elders shared it with children to teach that the greatest treasures are not gold or jewels, but the fire of belief inside every soul. Wanderers carried the story with them to distant lands, retelling it as proof that even in the darkest paths, one can carry light from within. The arrowhead's true power, therefore, was not in its stone at all, but in the way its legend awakened something timeless in everyone who heard it, a spirit that could not be broken, forgotten, or taken away.